Monica. In this section, we will be discussing about scope of a variable. The scope of a variable is a portion of a program where the variable has a meaning. Okay. So there are three different types of scope. First one is our global scope. Second one, the local scope. Third one, a block scope. Okay. So let's see the first one, the local variables. The parameters and variables declared inside the definition of a function is known as the local. So they exist only inside the function body. Whenever the function is finished, then the variables no longer exist. Okay, such kind of variables are known as what? Local variables. As you can see, the former parameters are the local variables to that function. Okay, after the functioning of after the execution of that function, it no longer exists. Second type is a block variable. A block means a starting and closing of parentheses. If we have mentioned if we have declared some integer or any other data typed variables inside this curly brackets, then this res will have a value, or this variable will exist only inside this block. Okay, if we have if we have to use this res outside this bracket, what we have to do? We have to declare it outside this block. Otherwise, this res we cannot use outside this block. Okay, so this is known as the block scope variables. Next one is a global variable. If we are declaring the variables outside of any function definition, is known as what? The global variable. So all the functions, all the functions as well as the structures, union, classes, etc. can access this global variables. This is an example. So here in this case, the stem1 exists only in this block. So inside this inside this block only the temp1 exists, and here I have a div by temp1 I have called. Okay, so this temp1, whatever value I have inputted, this will be copied here. So this n is available only inside this function div by. Okay, so this variable n is cleared whenever it is returning from this thing. Okay, so this is of local variable. It is also local variable, and this is also a block scope variable. And here this div. Okay, div is a global variable which is defined outside of every function. Okay, so this div is known as the global variable. So here we can see an example of block scope. In main int y I have created. Okay, and I have just opened a bracket, closed a bracket, and inside this I have created it int a is equal to y, cout a, etc. Okay, so here in this case a is declared inside the main, inside this block. Okay, a is declared inside this block, and it will be existing only inside this block. Okay, and if we want to use it outside it, just say I have tried to use this a outside this block, what will happen? It will give an error, that is this a doesn't exist outside the block. Okay, so this is all about the block scope variables. Now in this case, this m will be existing only inside this, the k will be existing only inside this, so until this only the k exists, and j will be existing from this to this. Okay, so these are the different scope of variables.